And I watched some of what Kelly did. I hope you guys enjoyed Kelly. She's a phenomenal lady, a huge heart, and you guys know her husband was out of town, so she told me today he hasn't slept in like 62 hours or something because his body's all messed up and he's trying to work during the days and not sleeping during the night. So she said she was going to try to help him get some rest tonight. So I said, go for that. Yeah. Just get out of the way. So I'm not exactly sure how far you've gotten in my planned itinerary for our 7-week class, but we're at lesson 4. We're going to have to scoot over and make some. Come on in. We got all kinds of room.
It's Jason's fault.
If it's Jason's fault, we'll forgive you. No, I'm kidding. You might want to grab, there's a couple papers there. So I put on the board kind of the way kind of a really simple summary of kind of what I hope you've at least taken away through our first few weeks here, looking at Nehemiah's story. You start with this burden. You remember how it happened in Nehemiah? He found out that the people in Jerusalem were unprotected, the wall was down, and it just kind of wrecked him, right? He went from this burden to immediately to prayer, and he starts praying, and it says he's weeping, he's overwhelmed by the need. But what that did next is that in that prayer, he began to see that God had a passion for this as well. It wasn't just his brokenness, but it was something. So when I put the prayer leads us to this alignment with God's heart, right? And it births in you a passion that someone's got to do something, right? Who's going to do this if not me, right? And you kind of look around and you realize no one else is even thinking about it. So then you get stuck with this passion. And it's kind of a rough place to be because at that point you may not have an idea plan. You might think there's no way I can do this. I'm not the right guy. Jason would be way better at this, right? My neighbor is not a believer, but I don't know how to lead him to Jesus. So what am I going to invite him to church? Maybe if they don't go to church, I'm going to invite my missions pastor to come talk to them. Like all of those kind of things are the things you think because you just don't know what to do. Right? You have a burden. You understand that burden is not just your own. It's something that God's also burdened by. So now you've got this passion for it. And so what we're talking about, I think this was about last week, is that passion should or could turn into a plan. How do you take a burden which has led you to prayer and a prayer that's led you to God's heart, a passion, then how do you take that passion and it turn into something tangible? How do you go from passion to action? And so you see in Nehemiah's life, a plan emerges, right? He takes this big risk. He's going to go in front of the king. And if the king's not happy with his question, he could lose everything, right? But he goes in front of the king, and the king's like, why are you so downcast? Probably someone may have told you at some point that if you're the cupbearer and you go in front of the king and you're not happy, that could be a big problem, just that alone, right? That you have brought your sadness and made a problem for the king. Well, the king God gives and grants just such grace to Nehemiah that the king is honorable and wants to hear the story. And then after hearing the story, Nehemiah kind of asks for the world. He tells him about the problem, and then the king gives him everything: soldiers, letters to get wood from the forests, everything that he might need. And then what's really interesting is he kind of holds that to himself, right? He makes the journey. I think you guys got all the way through that journey and his discussion with the people in Jerusalem. He when he gets there, he doesn't tell anyone what he's about. Like, he represents the king. He's got a whole soldiers group, so they know him. He obviously comes into the city with some level of fanfare. It's not like he can sneak in by himself, but he does sneak out at the night and makes this survey of the city walls. And in doing so, he really gets a full understanding of what the need is. So think again, he's sitting in the king's citadel in Susa, and he has this burden. Then he prays about it. He has this passion. And the passion turns into this plan. I'm going to go to the king. Now the king has given him all that he needs. So now he's in Jerusalem. Now he understands the full picture. He's got a big idea of what's going on here. And it's still at this point, he's just starting to execute his plan step by step, right? So then he goes to the people of Jerusalem. And he kind of unloads the whole thing. Here's what I'm thinking. And I put this at the top of this little paper today. It says, they replied to him, let us start rebuilding. And so they began the good work. Like, that's the end of Nehemiah 2:18. And you think about from Nehemiah sitting at the king's citadel to let's begin the good work. There's a lot that's taken place between those two pieces, right? And that's really what we've been talking about up till this point. How do you take this idea, this burden that God's put in your heart, how do you seek Him in it, and then start to develop a plan to make it come to something realistic and possible and reality? I've gone through this process so many times. If you would hang out with me for very long, you'd probably start to get a little irritated. When I was a missionary, we lived in Mexico, and we learned Spanish. And when I first got down there, I didn't speak any Spanish, so pretty much all we did was projects. I'd drive kids to school and then figure out what needs to be fixed, and I'd fix something. So I remember the first week we were there, when you drove off the street up into the children's home, there was just like this 2-foot bump you had to go up, and it was big, and at times it would wash out. They kept filling it with rocks, and in Mexico, have you ever seen they just like kind of create solutions, and they're not the solutions that we would do here? So like literally, breaking up concrete and throw it in there, and then it washes out. And you're like, okay, now you still got this big pit. You can't drive the cars over this thing. So I'm like, guys, let's pour concrete and make this thing stable and solid, and we won't have to do that anymore. We can make it an appropriate grade and all this stuff. And so it took us a few days. We got it done, and it, to my knowledge, continues to be the way to get into the children's home today. But I did that all the time, and I had these concepts. So I built bookshelves. There's no bookshelves anywhere. All these kids, all these rooms, no bookshelves. So I started buying wood. It was in the middle of the desert, so there's no wood source, but there was a guy that sold boards in town, so I would buy boards and build bookshelves. And they're like, oh man, this Chad, he just gets all kinds of crazy ideas. And they've never seen a wooden bookshelf. I'm like, this isn't that hard. No, not savior. They started mocking me.
Oh no!
In Spanish, they said "un otro idea de Chad," like here's another one of Chad's, harebrained ideas. Because I always have ideas. Like we're just always, and that really has been a truth of my life. I'm an innovator. I'm a visionary. I'm always looking, and my wife says I've got 100 ideas, and the 5 that come out of my mouth are too many. Out of the 100, the 5 are too many. So. We joke because she said her job is to try to kill as many as she can, and I'm like, if it gets past the lease, it must be a good one, like all those kind of things. But God uses that for me to help balance it. But this idea that you go from burden to passion, or burden to prayer to passion, and then that passion turns into a plan. And really today, that's what I want to ask you. Like, as you've been going through these last 3 weeks, has God given you a passion or a plan? Have you started thinking through a specific idea? And if so, would you willing to share it? Like I'd love to hear kind of I know last week you guys had a heart, and you guys wrote down different things on different sides of the heart, right? And it's kind of this idea of what's broken your heart and how does it align with what breaks God's heart, and those kind of perspectives. So would any of you be willing to share kind of what do you feel God's saying to you and what you're thinking about?
Couple things. Pastor Donnie has a name for this. It's your holy discontent.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if
I
he made
like
that
it.
up or somebody else did, but what's your holy discontent? That's what he keeps asking. For me, the fact that I'm here at First Baptist has been a journey that God's put me on over the last year. I was very dialed into Mission City, and all of a sudden he was just putting people in my path that came to First Baptist. I took perspectives with Chad a couple of years ago. I guess it's going on now, and it's like he was just, I could feel him nudging me in this direction. And it's hard changing churches, but it took me a long time to really understand that it was God directing me here. And it wasn't him taking me away from Mission City, it was him bringing me here. It's a huge difference. It's a great church. I have nothing but praise for that church. It's wonderful. But for whatever reason, it's here. And I don't know why I'm here. I still don't know why I'm here, but...
I have some suggestions if you need some.
No, I know you do. I'm sure we'll talk about that. And I'm sure it's something to do with missions because I was Heather Austin to Donnie Anthony at Mission City, and missions are huge in my life. That's why Chad and I have become friends. But it's a journey that God has put me on that I kind of had to recognize that I was being directed somewhere, and I resisted for a long time. But God doesn't stop, I don't want to say nagging you. He doesn't stop nudging you. You can't ignore it, and it'll go away. So this isn't, a big change the world type thing. But I think that it's an example of God asking you to do something, and you just have to say yes, yes. So here I am. I don't know why, but here I am. He'll make it clear eventually.
Well, we are so thankful to have you here, Mary. And even if it's a place for you to rest for a season, it's okay, but not forever.
No. I'm excited to see what he has in store for me, and I think I'm getting better at not trying to make things happen and watch to see what he wants to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I was, in my younger years, I was a control freak. I had to be in control of what happened to me, and I've given all of that up so completely. I'm excited to see what he lays in front of me.
I think one of the things as you find what the Lord is putting in your heart, and you find out that it's also His heart, you also find it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be so focused on controlling it, that it will crush you.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I love about the Nehemiah story is the work that they do. If you know the story, how long does it take them to finish the wall? Do you know? Anybody know?
Decades.
52 days.
Oh,
52 days. And here's the crazy thing. For the most part, the materials they used to rebuild those walls were the broken down walls that had been there the whole time. With the exception of the wood for the gates. So they had everything they needed to replace those walls for all those years. But they needed somebody to come with vision and to think, okay, we can do this. And then it says they complete it in 52 days. 52 days. So again, if Nehemiah had decided he was going to go build those walls by himself, how long would it have taken him? He would have probably not lived out that task. So couple years. Oh yeah, engineer would have been fine. He was a cupbearer, bro. He didn't know how to build walls. I'm kidding.
Apparently he did.
Well, he knew how to motivate people.
Get people going.
And we'll talk more about that too. Like how do you build a team? Who else? Anyone else have an idea that God's put on your heart?
I'll talk about, I've got a lot of ideas, but time is, we're both in a season of, our moms have just been put into small care homes. Now his mom has Alzheimer's. My mom's 98, and she's lived all this time at home, but she's gotten real weak, so we have them in a place in Boerne that's wonderful. But that's where all our time is spent.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
They want us there all the time.
I'm sure.
So we go most every day and spend a lot of time there. So our draw has been, first it was like feeling like you're selfish because you don't want to be there all the time because we have things to do at home, we want to do this and that. And we just had to give that up. And then we thought, how can we make it better for them? And so that's been our burden, if you will, of how we can make even the other, there's only 7 in this place, but how can we make being there, since they rarely get out, how can we make it more alive? And they love kids, they love pets. If you could get a Sunday school class or somebody to bring their kids to just see them there, that just brings lights in their eyes and makes them so happy. So we end up taking them out and take them to the river and walk along. They're in wheelchairs, so you can take them down there and they see pets and everything. And it just lights them up. It makes us so happy, to do that. So we kind of let go of everything we're trying to do to spend on that. Because before that, we had other ideas about ministry, but we got to get through this time first.
Something she said here is a really important thing to understand, and that is that there are seasons in everyone's life. And there are seasons where you have capacity to do things beyond your maybe daily responsibilities or maybe immediate responsibilities, parenting, caring for your aging parents, like those are seasons that everyone walks through at some point. Obviously, some better than others, and all kinds of every spectrum of how well that goes for everybody. Some parents, it's early, it's hard. Some people pass quickly. Some people, it's a long, drawn-out process, and so much of even understanding how God is calling you right now is also understanding the season that you're in, and how do you work in that season and understand that season. And so I love that you know that. Like right now, this is it's like if you have little young kids at home, that is your ministry for the moment, and it's going to be that way until you find some freedom. My kids are 15 and 12. They're a lot less dependent on me right now than they were when they were 1, 2, 3, 5, right? And the same thing. And so we have a little more freedom, and we're expecting in the next 3 to 6 years they're going to graduate and maybe go to college, and maybe we'll have another level of freedom. Obviously, those are plans that may or may not happen the way we plan. But it's good to know. With that said, you also mentioned some things that include other people. People coming and visiting, bringing kids or animals or things you said. Like we have a home group that meets in our home that's all families. And honestly, most of them are going to be in their costumes doing goofy things on Friday night. Like if you guys wanted us to bring some families to come visit the 7 people in that home, that could be a fun event. We have a couple of dogs. They jump on people, so I'm not sure that that's what you want. But they are soft and cuddly and very friendly. So like honestly, there may be ways to get people to come and visit and just to serve. Like several of the families in our group would do that just to be a blessing. I mean, not to mention how much it teaches our kids to get to have an opportunity to be a blessing to elderly, especially those who are struggling with their health. It's something I think Americans avoid at all costs. We don't like to see people suffering, and so we just act like they don't and try to stay away from it. But it's a hard thing in our culture. So that'd be fun to talk about. Like there are other people that could be involved in that.
If you don't mind me asking, what sort of things would you be doing if we're not within your doing? Had you had some plans that got put on hold?
There's other things, like I was gonna go through biblical counseling. I have a heart for marriages that are based on biblical values, and trying to help people through that, because we have a number of friends that we meet with separately already to work on some of those issues, and it's just a real draw on our hearts for that. I have 3 grown kids. We just got married 2.5 years ago, so we still have our ministry as a marriage as well. But my 3 kids were raised actually in this church ages ago, and were raised Christian. Like my middle son was in ministry. They've done so well, and the younger 2 have gotten so liberalized by the culture that they've turned away from what they grew up with. And so that's a big burden. I'm trying to work through what can you do to help stop that from happening to these kids that grow up in the church and then run off in different directions. And I don't know what to do with that one yet, but it is burning here.
Did they go to college? Is that where it happened?
Yes, that's some college, and then the one in ministry went to Germany, serving in ministry, and that was more liberal. Now he's in Washington State. Don't ever let your kids go to that coast. It's not good. And he's just totally turned away.
It's like 3 of us here that live in Washington. It's really funny. 4 of us.
I didn't have a choice though. I was going to name it.
I was in the Army.
I didn't have any choice. My kids moved there. I had to follow them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's always been that way, but it just seems like I have another couple of friends whose kids went out there to go to school or something, and they totally turned against everything too. Like, what in the world happens there? I know there's good churches and things like that out there.
Do not let your children leave Texas.
That's it. That's it.
Just leave it there.
That's no guarantee.
It's not.
You got a better
UT's
shot,
pretty
right?
bad.
But the one in Texas is doing good. It's
Take them down to the well.
Tell me your names.
Jan and Don.
Jan and Don
Reed.
Reed.
You can add to that if you want. You had other things planned too.
Well, you've said a lot of what in my thoughts too, but
You know, my mom was in this assisted living facility first. She's 89. She's been there since last August. And so I was going to see her, you know, every other day, approximately. And then I thought I was spending a lot of time there. But when Jan's mom moved in, she started going, you know, Jan's mom has never been anywhere but home, and she wanted Jan to be there like every day.
It's only been 3 weeks.
Right, so and we figured there'd be a transition period, and, you know, and that which is whatever she needed, right? But since Jan was there, I was not tasked with dividing my time between there and at home, because, you know, that's my mission too, right? Is to be home, and it's not like you ever asked me to be there, but I wanted to be there, and so my point is that since I've been going daily instead of every other day, it's really woken me up to the type of care that my mother needed. She needed, you know, she really is, with Alzheimer's, is just needs more daily attention so that she is not disturbed, or she's more at peace. And so, you know, I kind of found myself resenting that the first like week. I was like, you know, what about, God, I'm spending all my time here, and what about the time I had, you know? And I was, you know, I was praying about that, and God just let me see how selfish that was, you know, and how like the self-centeredness of thinking my time is my time and God's time is over here, you know, and that type of thing, you know. And so it was actually very comforting to me to realize that, you know. And so I went in there with a different attitude, and you know, I mean, not that I had a bad attitude, but I mean, it was a totally different attitude that was just free from the self-serving attitude that we all fight, you know, constantly. And so, and then so, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'll give credit to the 21 Days of Prayer book, because that's really driven a lot of those thoughts, the concentration on those conversations.
And plus I saw some things that I really wasn't aware of that weren't that were making her uncomfortable. And so I just, one day she was just really upset, and I just thought, well, she has Alzheimer's and the disease is progressing, and, you know, and her medications changed a little bit. I mean, there's all kinds of things it could be, but it just hit me that, you know, she needs peace right now. And I took her back to her room, and I just thought, well, what's going to give her peace? And so I started talking to her about the gospel, and asking her about how she felt about, you know, being her age and being here, because she doesn't, her memory is really horrible, but she can still converse, you know. And, you know, then I prayed with her in her room, and I mean, she just thanked me, like, you know, it was like I was having a conversation with my mother. Anyway, so it occurred to me that, you know, there is a mission opportunity here as well. You know, right now it's with my mother, but there's definitely need in
any nursing home.
Yeah, every palliative care facility is just filled with people who are extremely lonely, and oftentimes their memories, like you said, are already broken, so they can't necessarily, they know something's not right, but they're not necessarily sure what it is, and it's a hard place for them to be, and it's honestly really hard for their families too, because they just don't know what's the point, like, and how much time can I possibly give to this, and they have the same stress that you were feeling, and you feel like your life is not your own, your time is not your own, your home is not your own, all the things you've got planned, it's all set. And Americans were like so self-centered. Right. It's
you
so
can feel
much.
The same way with kids.
Of course.
It's like, you know, you're wishing you had more of your own time, you know. But one kind of humorous thing in that day was that I got this idea to, I'm going to pull up Jason on YouTube, and just maybe watching Jason will give me the opportunity to share with her, Well, I picked up this one sermon where, it's like it took him like a minute to amp up into his passionate screaming voice, And my mother was just like, oh, could you take that off?
It's adding stress. That's funny. That's
Just wasn't
funny.
the right one.
That's funny. Well, thank you guys again for sharing. Who else? Anybody else?
I'm changing seasons, I guess, in my life. We moved here, me and my wife, last June, not this June, June. We were both ill, alone in Richmond, Sugar Land area, and we found out that we needed help, just to go to the doctors and stuff. And my ex-son-in-law and his son, my grandson, my step-grandson, they're all the kids are mine, but we love each other like we're blood. Anyway, they offered to bring me and my wife up here, so if nothing else, then to take care of us, And my wife lasted till November of last year, and she had a bleeding stroke and passed. And
Tell us your name again as well.
Tom Cooksey.
Tom Cooksey.
And anyway, times before that, my wife was suffering from dementia and bipolar, and I spent my whole life caring for her. Not to give me any glory at all, it's nothing but God that did it. But anyway, I was saved in '73, and I floundered. I spent my whole life caring for my wife. Like I say, I'm not giving myself any glory at all. But the only thing that kept me going was a passage in Ephesians where Christ said he loved his wife. Love your wife as Christ loved the church, giving your life up for her. And anyway, that was my season. And when she passed, it was time for me to learn how to fellowship. And I've never really fellowshipped. My personality to start with is kind of introverted. I've always been a loner, even in high school and everything. Anyway, I started praying for God to show me what to do. And my sister, she's saved, she has an dentist, that she encouraged me to pray. She said, you can always pray. And that's been my calling, I guess you'd say. Since that's what's got me through these months and stuff. And I did that gift, what your gift is, turned out to be faith. And so there was one of those suggestions in there to join the prayer group in the church. So I don't know. That's where I'm leaning to. I'm still growing.
I love it, Tom. One of the maybe this is a little confession too, but I've been in ministry for 5 years. I'm 46 now. 25 years, 26 years, and for a large part of that ministry, there was, I think it wasn't on purpose, but there was an idea that everything that is valuable is younger. You're looking at the young people, or we need younger people in the church, and the families are leaving. And when I came here to First Baptist, I had been for 2 years teaching a seniors Sunday school class at my last church. Their teacher had left. They asked me to fill in, and then it ended up for 2 years I was their teacher. And they were all in their 80s. And we had so much fun together. We did so many fun Bible studies, and I found them to be so much more open than I expected them to be, even to some controversial topics and whatnot. We had a good time. It was actually really fun for me. And then I came to First Baptist, and we've been doing all of these things. And the vast majority of people that have responded to my efforts to engage in missions has been people beyond 65, and actually a large part over 75. And they're saying things like, I don't know how many years I have left, but what years I have left, I want to do this. They're like running to these hard places in the planet. You know, we've got 9 people leaving Tuesday to go to northern Iraq. Like, this is not a place most people think. There's a 17-year-old on the trip, which is amazing that her parents would let her go without them. But beyond that, everyone on the team, I think, is 68 and above. And some of them I know, 75. One of the guys is 75. And they're not lacking anything. And so what I want to tell you is that God has you here for a purpose. And one of the primary things we're asking our church to do is to pray with us. Pray for the nations. Pray for the lost. Pray for the hurting, the broken, the ones who are far from God. And we need help. So Tom, there is a wide open door for you to maybe even start your career of ministry in the years that God gives you. And at this point, in some ways, undistracted. Like, you have this focus. You get this ability to build a relationship and to be focused on. So I'm so thankful that God's allowed you to see that. And I would love to talk to you more in the coming weeks or days about how you feel God leading you. Does anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I
Everybody wants to. Great, I love it. Love it. Yeah.
I know I have a burden.
Tell us your name.
Dorothy.
I miss everyone's names, and then in the church it's too big for me to remember everyone's name, and then I feel bad, so I'm just going to keep writing it down. Dorothy, what's your last name?
O'Brien.
O'Brien. All right.
Okay, it is for orphans, and it is for the teen pregnancies. It is in the past when I've lived in, my now ex-husband is military. We lived in Las Vegas for many years. I volunteered at the largest abortion facility there. Like, they set the first service pregnancy center across the street. And so some days it was just me, go out there and pray in front of the facility, on the sidewalk, away from the door. I got my nursing license, so I'm an RN now. And my hope was that now I can go and maybe do ultrasounds, help in the community to actually, as a volunteer, just to provide that service and to counsel the young families as they make these decisions. But I don't think that that's it. I feel like there's babies, there's orphans, that I need to be doing something, that I need to be building some kind of facility. I need to be doing something. I can't identify it, but I feel like there's a need for these children who just need love and who have nobody. I don't know where that's at.
So I thought the U.S. no longer has orphanages, it's all foster care.
Yeah, and I don't know anything.
Well, I can help you. There's actually several organizations that we partner with as a church that would probably love to talk to you. I mean, the very nearest is the Pregnancy Care Center here in town, and they have ultrasound options in their clinic. I don't know if you've been down there and talked to those guys at all.
I've just sent inquiries, and I haven't received anything.
Well, this would be a great way for us to help you. Like, Donna Klingeman, the executive director, is our friend. We see her regularly. We talk to her all the time because we're a supporting church. Like she's very responsive to us. That's one, but there are others. Like it's called the Shelter. It's a battered women's, but I think it's an underage women's shelter here in town. There's obviously the women's shelter that's also here in town that takes on sometimes families. They're growing in their capacity, but there's also like Stitch, a South Texas children's home. It's in Beeville as their headquarters, but they have a number of programs around the state that are engaging, especially pregnant young women, or they've done a lot of abortion prevention efforts. I think what they found was their biggest thing was actually financial literacy among low-income individuals, so they can learn how to plan to use their finances well. And they've been doing that everywhere. There's different classes in San Antonio and in the Valley and Corpus Christi, all over. But there are a number of organizations. What I want you to hear is that there's options. So
I felt like there's emergency foster care for infants.
foster care is huge. The
That's-
vault is, you probably
like,
know.
No, I don't know. I've been in Boerne now for 8 months.
Well, Dorothy, there are lots of ways you connect. You probably love talking to Rachel Russo. Started this ministry called Vault. They care for families who foster. So like when they get placements, they kind of provide needs for them. That may not be the space for you. I don't think they need an RN. They don't do the ultrasound. They're not necessarily a pregnancy crisis piece at all, but they have lots and lots of interaction with the foster community from infants to below. Like today at dinner, were you at dinner?
Yes.
At dinner, one of the families here at our church just got placed a 15-day-old. And the 15-day-old was being carried around and everyone was holding her. Look, oh, this precious. She's like 20 days old now. They got her last Friday. She was 15 days when they got her. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that she's itty bitty. Like she was born yesterday. And so there are families even in our church that would probably love to have assistance and help. And if you were to want to go beyond the United States,
Yeah. I
We
don't
just-
know if this is my only place.
well, we just got from India. We visited an orphanage with 90 plus kids, and they're just going to finish their new facility in March, and they'll have 200 plus kids after that. So the opportunities are endless.
What's the name? Is it Mayflower, the name of the place where kids go whose parents are in jail? and stuff?
No, it's called Meadowlands.
Meadowlands. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, Meadowlands is a
Like I have no
These are all
data.
kids.
it's a behavioral unit. The kids that can't be in foster care are put into this place because they're too much trauma in their background. We have a number of people, even at dinner tonight. One of my friends is one of the teachers there, and then Sandra Radke's on the board of directors for those guys as well. So there's lots and lots of influence with Meadowlands as well. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And that burden is a heavy burden, and it sounds like you have a lot behind that as well. And so it'd be great to walk alongside with you as you think through what that might look like and what that might mean.
Yeah. It's about time.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk more about that. We jumped over you. We didn't mean to. So.
It's okay. Well, you guys kind of triggered a thought that I've had since I've been here, having to do with nursing homes and care centers. I had went through a lot of stuff of taking care of people. Everybody's gone now, and I moved here to be with my kids, and I put loose and fancy free. You guys kind of been speaking to me about, the most, to me, maybe the most overlooked population of people are all these people that are in nursing homes who help build this country, and they just close the door and figure somebody's taking care of them. And I have felt, when I used to go hang out with my mother, I just would sit and have the meals, and I would just talk to all of them. And they're all just hungry for just something to normalize things and feel like that they're not completely isolated. And I've been thinking lately about, in fact, I reached out to somebody in one of my classes who's got a person, and I said, next time you go, let me go with you, and I can visit with her, and maybe that'll help me get in the door of the facility to be someone who goes somehow to visit people. But I know they're real funny about all that because I don't know what they expect might happen. So I just know you gotta have some kind of opening. But that's been on my heart quite a lot, because I don't envision myself doing leadership in any group sort of setting and all like that. But the thing you said about praying with your mom. So a few months ago, I was told that I have a mild cognitive something or other. I can't remember what it was. I don't know why. But it's not good.
Sounds accurate. No, I'm kidding.
No, it sounds right. Yeah. And one of the things that, I mean, my dad died with it, my mom died with it, just in my family. So that really kind of scared me, because I don't want to go through what they have gone through and what I saw happening in the places they were. But one of the things that were always entering my mind is, and I'm reading my Bible, and it says, He will keep in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Thee. And I started to be afraid that if I don't have a mind, how can I keep my mind set on Thee? And I prayed a lot about that, and I thought, well, what you did does that, And if we're talking about Christian people especially people who've been in the Word and they love Jesus, the worst thing ever is not remembering that and how to grab onto it. And so, yes, just that's what I have envisioned. If I could go to a place and just sit and read the Bible with people who who grew up in church, play some hymns for them and say the name of Jesus, and then to let them know that did not go away. All that's still happening.
Yeah.
It maybe not in where you're sitting right now, but it's all happening still. So maybe this is God kind of tending me in a direction, because I've gone through the praying and the burden about many different things and passion, and I come up with plans, and then I come up with the purposeful action thing. So I did say, can I go with you to a nursing home? I did that part, but I didn't really push very hard. But maybe I'll visit your family.
Tell us your name as well.
Denise Allen.
Denise Allen.
Oh, that's funny, because I told you my best friend in high school's name is Denise. Her name is Denise Allen.
So this is Mary. You guys should be friends.
We were talking earlier.
That's
Isn't
funny.
that funny?
That's very weird.
That's funny. Well,
I'll
there.
really remember your name.
Yeah.
You're not gonna forget it.
If not, we need to talk about this other problem.
There are two older men in our church. One's a retired pastor, and one's a retired music minister. Mike Meadows and Ed White is the other one. And they've just recently started trying to recruit people to go with them to Minger Springs and other. They're trying to do palliative care, visitation, do Bible studies with the residents. And
Ed White, he's in my Sunday school class.
you should ask him. Paula and Ed. You should ask him.
I will.
Now I kind of want to. That's 3 out of our 8 people at this table have had something in that space. So that's interesting, and it makes me wonder how many more are in that space with you. As even this last 2 weeks while I was away, I'm praying okay, Lord, you've given me this incredibly mobilized group of leaders that are 65 to 85. How do I engage the 55 to 65 or the 45 to 65? And you realize the 45 to 65 are caring for those people who are struggling, or they're caring for their kids or grandkids, right? If you go below that, 25 to 45, they're just trying to get their lives established. It's just a messy time of life to try to get heavily invested in missions, unless they're called to missions, right? And so there's these gaps, and I'm trying to build on-ramps at every level, so anyone at any place can find a way to get involved. But it's challenging. Everyone's in different seasons, and then there's normative seasons for each of those age groups. But the early retired, they don't have kids at home, and maybe just after their parents pass away, have this liberty and almost a void. They don't know what to do. They don't see their kids a whole lot. They've moved away. And now they've got this open space. This guy just got out of, and now what can they do? Especially here in Boerne, they're kind of affluent. They have the resources. So this guy, him and his wife, they've gone with me to Turkey, Moldova. We've gone all over the place together. And honestly, if I invite them, they go with me next week somewhere else. They love traveling. They love to see what God's doing.
She's not going to miss a Spurs game right now.
Listen, with Wemby in there, they're crazy. Definitely let's find ways to connect. So that's one of the great things with these conversations. Everyone that's talking, I'm I need to connect them to there. And there's these things happening everywhere. So.
Well, if you said that, if I could add one more thing.
Yeah, of course.
one of the things so when I was in Washington, what I did sort of as a ministry is I worked at a thrift store. It was a very small little thrift store, and we, did clothes mainly, and I learned that business for a couple of years, and I found out that there were people at the nursing homes that needed a lot of stuff, because people go in and get their stuff. It gets mixed up with other people's laundry, and it disappears, and I became aware that was a thing, so we started to gather clothes that we knew people weren't going to buy that, because it was like old people wear it, and take it to the most local nursing home, and I've thought, and if I can get my foot in the door with some places that I can contribute more than just, I think it's plenty just to sit and read the Bible to someone. But, if it also turned out we could have games with them, or somebody says to me, yeah, somebody got all my clothes, I don't need pajamas anymore, sort of launch a thing with that. And it helps their family too, because when my mom was in a nursing home, her stuff went missing all the time. And I was over there all the time because she couldn't find her deodorant anymore. It turns out she was hiding most things, so I would have to come over there and find it for her or let her know. It just shows their life, that they don't just end up in a chair and they still need clothes. They make them feel happy. Sure. And then so I started volunteering at Hill Country. I've only been there twice, and I'm
Daily Bread.
Yeah, Daily Bread, and I think I'm working in the clothing part. I'm trying to. I think that's where I'm targeting. But I thought, well, maybe that's going to be another way that if they have more than they need, then facilitate getting that distributed.
There's several others in town that you could probably also volunteer with if you wanted to. The Women's Shelter has a thrift store north of town. Hill Country Family Services.
Everything I wear is from a thrift store, so I know all the ones. I know exactly which one to go to for what I'm looking for. But
have you interacted with the center at all? Susie
I
Allen?
went to a dance.
Okay.
And I didn't dance, but that's all I did. My neighbor took me there. It just didn't feel like I was in a place where there was much need going on. I'm kind of more drawn to people that are they're stuck there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm kind of the
That's
younger one. I would just say, like you said, the 25 to 45. I'm 42. So 11, 10, 8-year-old girls. So that's pretty much my days. It's almost like this. Yeah, it's almost like this is my break, getting to come here for a little bit.
Yeah.
But now I'm just seeing, I'm from like the small town too, and just definitely got back into God a lot more. I got saved at 30, right before I went into the Navy. So still fairly new to me. Just see a lot of my friends that aren't. Still great people, but just how and when do you bring up those conversations and all that good stuff, and then just making sure my daughters realize the importance of it as well. It can be a challenge, because I got so much stuff. Like my youngest doesn't get to come; she's in competitive gymnastics, so she's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4:30 to 7:30, and she's 8. So just like that's a lot of practice. She hasn't complained once, which I'm pretty impressed with that. So just trying to find the time, and me and my wife both work, so. And then still just trying to find time in the marriage too, because you got to put the marriage first. But sometimes it seems like that's kind of on the back burner.
That's so huge.
Yeah.
So wonderful.
But my mother-in-law does live with us, and that's a total. But she just retired a couple of years ago, so can't say we couldn't do it without her. But she makes it a whole lot easier, that's for sure. But she lives with us, and it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
And also, trying to find some time. I've never gotten ministries or anything, but there's just so many different things. I always thought ministries in mind is like, oh, we're going to go to another country, but it doesn't have to be that way. There's plenty of other things you can do. I think that's just kind of that, prerequisite in your mind. You're like, you see people going to other countries, and that's all you think missions are. But like you were saying, there's a lot you can do just right here in your backyard.
There's even cross-cultural, what would be considered foreign mission opportunities in your backyard.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Like one of the things maybe some of you have heard of it. We do we're hosting a class in January. It's 4 months of class. It's a college course. Everyone gets overwhelmed because of the content. It's a big content class, but you can audit the class, which just means you go listen to the instructors basically.
You get a different instructor every week, right? Is that how it works? Yeah.
Perspectives.
Yeah.
15 different instructors with 15 different weeks, but it's a life-changing course. And for, again, at First Baptist, the 60 alumni we have here at First Baptist, probably 40 of them are over 60, you know, and it's been so wild to see how God has impacted these mature older believers who've been faithful to God for many years. They take this class and they're like, oh my gosh, I have got to get on board. You know, it's just amazing how it's revolutionized their hearts. So I would encourage any of you, if you have
Is that
the
a
chance,
Wednesday one too?
it'll be on Thursday nights.
Okay.
It's 3 hours, different instructors every week. It's phenomenal. And so if you get a chance, they'll have it on Thursday nights here in the spring. It's going to be really meaningful if you get a chance to go. Some people again get overwhelmed by the cost or by the workload, but you shouldn't let that bother you. Like, go listen. Jason, I don't think he even opened the book a single time and finished the class, and it impacted him too. Pastor Jason took it this spring, and he continues. We did a podcast yesterday, recording, and probably 10 different times in the podcast he mentioned how perspective just has begun to shift his heart and kind of rejuvenate some things that he just not realized before. And it's been really fun to watch how it's interacted with a senior pastor too. It's not just lay people that are impacted by it. So if you're interested, you should. And again, it's a cost. So we pay all these instructors to come. So it's like $250 a person. But if that's a challenge, we have resources to make that less a challenge. So anyone that wants to take it, we want to say to you, any way that we can help, we will help. So do consider that. This weekend we have Missions Weekend, and we have guest speakers. 2 of our missionaries, one from Turkey and one from the Republic of Georgia, are coming to be a part of our services this weekend. One's going to preach in the sanctuary, and one's going to teach the growth groups here in the Family Life Building. So that'll happen simultaneously on Sunday. You go to church, you'll hear Andy. You go over here to your growth group, you'll hear
So all
Gia.
growth groups will be okay.
It'll all be in the middle. We have breakfasts, and then afterwards we're releasing our 2026 mission trips. Foreign mission trips. I think there's 9 of them that we're making available to everybody in 2026. But I'm trying to step back from international missions probably in this coming year to focus on developing domestic mission partners so we can start to also see a growth in domestic missions opportunities within the United States. Maybe a church planting, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, and other opportunities. Stitch, the children's home that we work with in Beeville, they have tons of opportunities. They've got 12 children, foster homes on campus there. There's like 90 kids that you could go visit and work with on that campus. And so it's north of Kingsville. So it's on like that,
Marble Falls up in
no, south of Houston, headed towards the valley. Anyway, so lots and lots of things that we're working on and coming up. So if you're available this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend. We have a training on Saturday morning. You're welcome to attend. But anyway, the only person that hasn't shared about their vision for what God's got for them is this guy over here, Mark Turley. I know your name. I don't have to. I'm going to write it down because I wrote everyone else's down.
Just so you'll know, I was here.
Mark and I have traveled around the world together at this point, so we're fast friends.
My problem is a little more difficult for me. I've been retired a whole year now, so I've just now gotten to the point where I realize I'm retired. And my wife is real good at filling my time.
Is she retired?
Oh yes, I got her retired early on, so she's
Pro.
but it's been a real struggle for me. It's exactly what do I do? I was electrical engineer, distribution, worked on projects all over Texas. And so, there's all these skills. When I grew up, my dad was the deacon of the church. He had no problem saying, grab my toolbox, come with me. So I've got a lot of skills like woodworking, plumbing. What I hate to even say plumbing, but at least make it not leak anymore. But it's like, okay, then they came up short a teacher for 5th grade Sunday school. Oh, I can do that. It's become the most challenging thing I've done.
It's something different every week.
Well, it's not that. It's just, I started out here with 7th grade boys. Well, I've figured out now that by the time they hit 7th grade, they're well tamed compared to 5th grade. But, they're very attentive, even though they may be bouncing off all 6 walls in the room. but you know, it's real challenging to meet them at their level and get them to understand. And you know, I kind of liken it to like trying to train a young engineer. Here's how you really do things. But for me, it's more like, okay, I'm free. I've got a lot of freedom. I've been through this that y'all are just experiencing with your parents. Mine are gone now, but my mom was the one that had the dementia real bad. You know, we got to where we learned, 15 minutes, you get out of that room, because that's all she could mentally handle without falling apart. And we had good visits, we had some crazy visits, but and never knew what age she was going to think I was when I went in to see her. You're tall. You gained a lot of weight, haven't you? But I mean, it was what it was. I did get to walk through a lot of that with my dad, because I mean, he was in that. And that's kind of where I got started doing the book binding, because we'd be on the phone to each other, him in Fort Worth, me down here. I'd be working on something. He might be working on something.
Mark does kind of antique bookbinding. And so like this was one of my Bibles that was falling apart. And he helped me put a new leather cover on it and all these new things on it. And so now it's a functional Bible. And so Mark has a gift in that.
But
it's an extremely patient
family
process.
Bible, German Bible from the 1800s. That's
I've done two of
You might
1800.
have to get your information, because the top is off of it.
I'll definitely give it to you, and I'll tackle it for you.
Oh my gosh.
He's really good at it, and it's a hobby for him. He's such a good guy.
It's sort of a hobby, but I mean, I'm
It's sort of
struggling.
a hobby.
It's
Is that a
becoming.
software of saying there'll be a charge?
I take donations.
No, I will not take donations. Some people give them to me, and I usually drop them in the offering plate or something. There's lots of things going on. But like you were talking about, you have a heart for children. Well, I'm getting where, hey, children are the future here. A lot of them have a hard time. They'll never admit it to mom and dad. I saw a lot more of that in 7th grade, because, they're kind of into between girls have cooties, and then by the time they leave the 7th grade Sunday school class, some have girlfriends. But I'm starting to get more of a heart for the children. Why? But then I also want to go support pastors and missionaries. And by support them, I mean, a lot of them are kind of isolated. And just having friends, that's important to them. My wife is actually the real, she can organize and keep everything going. In fact, she never sits still, I don't think.
And if I ever need Mark to do something, I just call
You
Linda.
schedule it with Linda.
Call Linda. Linda will
Let's
make it
just be
happen.
honest, schedule it with Linda. She'll tell
Linda, do you want to go to Nepal to hang out with an orphanage? Yeah, Mark and I are in. And Mark's like, wait, what? What happened?
Exactly.
Well, we were past time, Mark, so
Yes, I know.
I'm sorry.
So I hate to admit it in front of him, hey, I'm still searching for what I need to do. It's like there's so many openings, options. It's kind of like, hey, I'm in, whatever happening, I can help. I got two hands.
When I was interviewing for this role 3.5 years ago, one of the things that Jason said the most was that he wanted to be leading a church where we would find people's skills and then help them to find their kingdom adventures, the language that he used. And you'll hear more of that coming up. We're going to kind of unleash a new kind of vision cast in January, kind of church-wide, but one of those is discover your kingdom adventure. Be deployed for kingdom adventure is the language we're going to use. And that's my role, is to help get to know the members of our church, try to find what you're called to, how God has gifted you and skilled you, and then help assist you to get engaged in that work. And some people it may be we're going to launch a new nonprofit and go save the world, and some people it may be I'm going to care for my mom well. That's great. How can I help you? How can I connect you?
Teach us how to find it, do it, and not worry about all the other ones we're not doing. 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's you're doing one.
She kind of narrow your focus so that you can do something really well. And
I feel like, I'm not doing international.
I'm too scattered everywhere. That's
Listen,
Everything.
I do want to read you this quote.
Okay.
Children are my world.
There's this great quote by a guy named Frederick Buechner. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Frederick Buechner, but he's a famous theologian from a long time ago. And he said, the place that God calls you is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Like, it's where the things that are your best, where God has called you, and the needs of God has placed around you come together. That's how God calls us. And so sometimes we get enamored by the big flashy things we see everyone else doing, which may or may not be fantastic. But sometimes it's just, you look around and say, what's God doing today? And I would tell you, even if you were to tell me tomorrow, like, I'm ready to go to the nations, I'm going to learn Mandarin and go to China, I'd say, great. Before you do that, how has God called you here? Like, show me that you've been responsive and obedient to God where you are before I send you to the other side of the planet, to a place that's hard, difficult, and totally foreign to you, right? So this is how we start. We start by being faithful where God has placed us. And so, guys, we didn't get even close into what I prepared to share, but it really was perfect for what I needed to do. Just kind of reconnect with you guys, and we'll keep going the next several weeks. We've got 3 more weeks scheduled, and there's actually time if we wanted to add another week, we could. And so I would tell you, you can see the next piece of that plan is to kind of roll into purposeful action, right? It's trying to, like, when I say purposeful action, and even the plan, typically plans are multi-step. Right? For Nehemiah, first step was to trust that God was in charge and go talk to the king, right? And then there was many steps after that, going and talking to the people at the woods with the letters, and then going to the city and walking around. All these different steps. So, like, a plan can be extremely complicated, and it can be something that takes some time to fully form and to fully execute. But the first step is trying to figure out what's step 1. And so if you look at this as you leave today, we haven't talked through all this, so I don't feel like you need to work through all of it. But maybe that first question, what passion has God placed on your heart? Do you have a clear vision of how God may be calling you? It's kind of what we talked through, right? So if you think about it when you get home, take the paper and maybe just fill that out. If nothing else, it'll just help you remember what we talked through tonight. And then next week when you come back, we can talk about that. You know, what's your first step? You know, are there people that you need to invite to be a part of this with you? All those kind of things, and we'll keep walking through that. But that's the next step. We'll kind of just keep moving through this. So next week we'll just keep moving. So, guys, thank you. I'm sorry we've kept you a few minutes late. Do you mind if I pray for us before we go? Father, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for how you've been moving among us. God, thank you how you've called each of us, that every single person at this table, God, has a space and a place that you've spoken to their heart. God, small ways, big ways, things that you're doing. God, some of us it's just caring for friends and family, parents. Some of it's just thinking through the needs of broken people, God, like unwed moms or foster babies, Father. We think about the needs around the world. God, they're so big, but God, we know that every single one of them are important to you. So God, we pray again that you would help us to hear your voice. You say in your word in John that my sheep hear my voice and they know me and they follow me. So God, speak to us and help us to know that voice and respond to it. Give us clarity, Father. Help us to narrow our vision to the couple things that we can do. God, help us not be distracted by all the things that we can't. God, we love you. We praise you. Go with us in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much.
Very helpful.